Happy Friday, I hope you're good. Welcome to another Friday recommendations. Today I'm going to be recommending to you underwater horror books or books that are set at, under, around water environments and that have a scary, thrilling sort of aspect to them. For those that don't know, this is basically my favorite thing to read most of the time because these type of books are just so fun and they're gripping and they're thrilling and they're ridiculous at times. Very ridiculous, I will say that, but it's just a blast of a time, so let's get started. The first book that I want to recommend to you is Something's Alive on the Titanic by Robert Serling. I think a lot of people love books that take place on the Titanic, books that have a twist or that go back in time or that jump forward and deal with the wreckage, and this deals with the wreckage. People go down to the Titanic and they see something. What did they see on the Titanic? I'm not going to tell you, but it's super intriguing and I had a great time reading this. The writing is a bit questionable and the characters are a bit weird at times, but I did have fun reading this, and if you enjoyed the Titanic, I would recommend this one. Next, I want to recommend to you Kill River by Cameron Rubik. This book is such a blast. It's so fun in a weird way. This book takes place at a water park, a mysterious water park that is not opened yet, possibly still under construction, maybe? A group of teenagers find this water park and have a blast of a time there, but then someone starts stalking them and possibly killing them at this water park, and it is so much fun. It's very 80s. So if you enjoy that time period, I would highly recommend this. It was just so much fun and I felt so, I don't know, I like the characters, you don't necessarily feel attached to them, but then when people start dying, you're like, no, don't die, and you want them to live, and then you're really interested in this person that's killing them. And there's a second book that I haven't read yet, but I really want to get soon. If you're a fan of short stories, this one would be really good for you, and that is The Devil in the Deep: Horror Stories of the Sea, edited by Ellen Datlow. This is a super fun collection of horror stories set at sea, and there's so many really good ones in this one, but it is a short story collection, so you do have some really good ones, but then there are some ones that fall flat a little bit. There's one in here that I loved so much. Let me see if I can find it. I'm pretty sure it was about zombies. It was called Shit Happens. Yeah, so if you ever read this one, check out this story in it because it is hilarious and so good, and it kind of reminded me of Shaun of the Dead in a way, but set on a boat. And yeah, I really like the short story collection, so I highly recommend this. Next, I have Sphere by Michael Crichton. I loved this book when I read it. I couldn't stop reading it. I think I read it in about a day. Sphere is about a spaceship that is discovered at the bottom of the sea, and a group of people get together to go down and figure out what's going on, what's inside it, why is it there. I had such a great time reading this because it's not scary in the traditional scary aspect, but it's more psychological than anything. And I remember reading this thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's gonna happen? What is this thing? Like, what is behind all of this? Michael Crichton is such a great writer. He wrote Jurassic Park as well as many other books, so if you haven't read Sphere, I highly recommend it. A recent favorite of mine is 100 Fathoms Below by Stephen L. Kent and Nicholas Kaufman. This is so good. So good. If there's a book out of all of this that I really recommend right now, it's this book because it will just swoop you into the story and you're gonna have so much fun reading this. This is about a submarine, a crew on a submarine, and then all of a sudden people on the submarine keep dying. You're trying to figure out what's on the submarine, what creature's on the submarine, what's causing all these deaths, and it's just crazy. And I'm not going to tell you what creature is on the submarine with this crew because that would spoil it for you, because once you know, then you know. I highly recommend this one. It is so fun. I have a book review for this book. It's not that long. It's such a short book. You can read this in a day if anything. I don't think I can film this recommendation video without mentioning Jaws by Peter Benchley because it's the underwater horror book, if we're being honest, because it's Jaws. It's a classic. Everyone knows Jaws. This is about a killer shark and you've probably seen the movie. The book itself, would I truly recommend this book? It is a book that I think maybe everyone should read if you're interested in the source material, but as a book itself, is it really that great? I don't think so. I think it's okay. I think there are better shark books out there. I'll get to that later. Surprisingly enough, the second book is even better than this. So yeah, it's Jaws, you know, killer shark. If that's what you're into, check it out. This next one I already recommended in my long books recommendation video, but I have to bring it up again because it fits perfectly with this prompt, and that is The Terror by Dan Simmons. Like I said before, this is about a ship that gets stranded in the Arctic, and the entire crew, we follow them as they try to survive and get back home. And as we all know, it's based on a true story. They all die, so we're just following them as this author describes what could have happened to them. And it is so slow moving and creepy. It gives me the chills thinking about it, because when I read this book is so atmospheric, so you feel like you're there with them. You feel the chills through your bones as you see what they went through. It is just a mind-blowing experience, and I love this book so much. I highly recommend it. If you want a slow burning, creepy, just atmospheric story, this is the book for you. Rogue Wave by Boyd Morrison. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie 2012, you know how it's the end of the world and everyone's dying, blah blah blah. Well, this book is kind of like that, but in book form. Instead of just the end of the world, earthquakes, all of that, this is basically just about the tsunami itself. There's a giant earthquake, there's a big old rogue wave tsunami, and it goes and kills everyone, and that's the story. And when I read this, I read it in one night. I couldn't put it down. It was so scary, but also fun and thrilling, because we follow a cast of characters that we're rooting for, and it's the family that you know is going to survive at the end of the day despite all the odds. So if you like that sort of movie or book sort of thing, you will really like this. Just beware, it might give you nightmares. I might have had a tsunami nightmare after reading this book, and was it fun? No. So there's that. The last 3 books that I'm going to share with you are basically just creature books, so just throwing that out there. Below by Ryan Lockwood. This is a book about killer squid, so if you're into that sort of thing, if you want to read about squid killing people, there you go. The Lock by Steve Alton. The Lock, this is so good. This is one of my absolute favorites. This is set at Loch Ness, and it's about the Loch Ness monster. I believe this is going to be a movie someday, so fingers crossed that happens, because I'm so excited. I want to see this on a movie screen because it's the Loch Ness monster. It's so cool. It is kind of scary at times, but it's also kind of ridiculous, and you might laugh, but it's a great time. The last book that I'm going to recommend to you, I don't know if you can see this coming, but it's obviously Meg by Steve Alton. This is just a random book in the series that I picked up, but Meg by Steve Alton. There was a movie adaptation. It was a great time. This is about another killer shark, but the ancestor of the great white shark, the prehistoric megalodon, giant shark, like huge shark that just kills people. I highly recommend Meg. The book series is so good. Those are all my book recommendations for today for some underwater horror books that you might be interested in. They're a great time. If you yourself have recommendations, please let me know, because this is honestly my favorite genre of books that I love to read from, and I'm always in the mood to read these sort of books, so please let me know your favorites in the comments below. Yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye!